And while you're doing this, the assistant directors are doing a much more complicated job, and that is figuring out the shooting schedule for the entire movie. So they're figuring out what is going to be shot and when. And the things that they prioritize when they do this is actor availability and locations. So we never shoot in story order. All the locations are grouped together. So, for example, we do all our hotel interiors first, and then maybe the hotel exteriors all together. And the one thing they don't care about when they're writing the schedule is graphic design, you know? Like, we're like right at the bottom of the food chain. If it's going to take you 6 weeks to make some stained glass, well, you better get cracking, because that scene is coming up when it's coming up. So because we don't shoot in story order, we have to think about a thing called continuity, which is like the most boring part of making a film, I think, and yet becomes the most fascinating part for an audience when it goes wrong. So you have to be quite careful with it. So for example, if there's a scene with a bloodied, ripped up telegram, you need to make sure that they're going to shoot the scene when it's bloodied and ripped up after the scene where it's clean and new, because if you give them this version first, they can't unrip it and unbloody it, right? So usually you give a bloodied version, then you give a clean version, and then you're ready for whatever order they want to shoot this in. But we never make one of any graphic, because graphics are kind of fragile, because they're made of paper usually, and like it's the first thing that goes onto set and gets a coffee spilt over it. You know, they could get ripped, they could get damaged by rain or snow or whatever. So we usually make 6 versions of all paper graphics. But we have to make them absolutely identical, right? Because of continuity. Because if the editor needs to cut 2 different shots together because an actor missed his line or something, and the bloodstain is in a different place on each telegram, that bloodstain is going to jump around on camera, and it's going to be a dead giveaway that everyone's watching a movie and it's not real. So we make 6. But if the telegram is going to be ripped up in shot, so the actor is actually going to rip it up in front of the camera, then you need to make 12 identical pieces, okay? Because they might need to do 12 takes. And then if you're working for Wes Anderson, you need to make 30 identical pieces because he might want to do 30 takes, okay? And each one has to have the bloodstain and the ripping and everything in exactly the same place. So, like, what happens if you don't get your ripping and folding and things in the same place? Does it matter? This is what happens. You end up on the IMDb Goofs page. So, on the train, Henkels gives Gustav a permit with a folded corner. In the close-up, the permit has no folds. They're right. This is the permit we lovingly made. You can see there's a lot of different methods that went into making this. So first we printed it, then we typed the address in, then there was rubber stamping going on, and then there was calligraphy and handwriting and signatures, and then we made an envelope for it, and we rolled wax over the envelope so that it looked dirty and old, because this was something that was supposed to have been in someone's pocket for 10 years. Then we made our 15 identical copies. And it's true, one of those corners does not have a fold on them. And someone noticed this. When Jopling is at the gas station, the calendar on the wall says October 1932, but shows October the 5th, 12th, 19th, and 26th as Sundays. In 1932, those dates fell on Wednesdays. They're right, you know? When we made this calendar, we didn't think to check this, you know, but we didn't think that anybody else would either. So 30 of 35 people found this interesting. And then just one more. Every newspaper that features a date has the wrong day of the week. 21 of 29 people found this interesting. That's also true. I won't show you any more. Like, there's hundreds of these things online. You know, you can look at them if you're interested.